Good afternoon, my beautiful bookish loves. How are you guys doing today? Um, Welcome back to my channel. I probably should have said that first, but I didn't. So it's already started. It's fine. It's fine. I hope you guys are having a good week so far. It is Thursday for me right now. This is another one of those long weeks. It's fine. It is what it is. I'm very used to it. Um, I am here with a new book review and a very old book review. I was inspired by someone over on Bookstagram. Um, her name there is Books and Kitab. I will tag her here, so if you want to go on over there, you absolutely should follow her. Very sweet Bookstagrammer. She had asked a question, like, what are you reading today? Whatever, and I stated the book that I was reading, and she'd never heard of it. And this is why I never like to make the assumption that because an author or a book or a series is popular, that everyone's gonna know about it. Whether you're like, well, maybe that person doesn't read everything or they're not well read. That doesn't mean that. Not everyone has access to all the information and they don't consume it in the same way. And so, although this book is old, the book came out in 1989. Like, what's old, Debbie? I mean, I was already born when this book came out. So look at that. The book is old. It doesn't mean it's not worth reading, worth knowing about. And because it did come out so long ago, it's not going to be prevalent in everyone's mind. And so I was like, let me talk about it. And so I will. And for the new book review is a book that I just finished that it came out this year, a couple months ago. I want to say October, but don't quote me on that. But it did come out this year. And I absolutely fell in love with it. It actually broke me out of my reading slump. And if you look it up, there's a bunch of reviews, but it's not coming across my feed, which is bananas to me because it's being read about. So why am I not seeing it? So here I am talking about it. Let's go with the new book review first. Where Ivy Dares to Grow. I'm going to walk a little closer because I don't know. I'm far from the camera. I just realized I was kind of far. It's fine. You're not here to see me. You're here to see the books. Where Ivy Dares to Grow. Ivy Dares to Grow by Marielle Thompson. It is a time travel romance. I don't have many of these under my belt. The most famous one I have that I've read is Outlander, the Outlander series, which I love very much. And I started that way back in junior high school, like when they were newer. Uh-huh. And Outlander wasn't even the first one I read. I read Dragonfly and Amber first because it was a long time ago and we didn't have Goodreads then. Okay, we played Oregon Trail on the computer. That's what we did with our computers. It wasn't a thing. Okay. So I didn't know until I got a lot older that it was a whole series. Not the point we're talking about Outlander that week. We're not. Focus. So that's pretty much the most well-known time travel romance that I know of. Not that I don't love them, but again, some of these genres are very nichey and I don't always come across them, unfortunately. And this is one that I won on Kensington Publishing, from Kensington Publishing. And I won it a couple months ago and I regret not reading it sooner because I absolutely loved it. I ate it up in a weekend. After stating on Book Talk that I'm in a slump, I'm going to reread a book that I haven't done that in 2 years. Eat it up. There are content warnings. There are content warnings of there's mental health issues. There is infidelity. I know that may be a hard pass for some people. And I know there's someone saying like it's just cheating in a book. That is very triggering for a lot of people for many reasons. Many reasons. And I stated it in my Book Talk review. Like I would never excuse cheating, even if it equates to true love, But sometimes it is a part of the story. Not for the sake of it, not just to get your like rocks off, it's not to get your jollies off. None of that. Sometimes it is just a part of the story. It may not be a happy part of the story because, someone's going to get hurt. But in this case, it was a part of the story. We have a woman, Saoirse. She's engaged. And her fiance comes from it's not set in this country. They come from let's reset that. Saoirse, she is engaged and she is going with her fiance to their families, like of the family estate, because his mother is on her last days. So they're essentially going, you know, to just wait it out, which already makes the book start off on a very sad note, because you're like, whether you dislike someone or not, that's not something I would never wish. You're not my worst enemy. Um, but then as we go along, it's you want to feel bad, obviously, but the way they treat her, you're just like, there's a lot of gaslighting there. I mean, and coupled with her childhood was not a good one, and now we have her here, engaged to be married, should be a happy moment, you know. Even if you just want to say like, oh, she's marrying into a well-to-do family, like a family that's well off. That's good. It's not bad. I mean, shit. But it's not. They're incredibly nasty to her, and it hurts to see. It hurts to see her retreat into her shell the way that she is, and has been seemingly her whole life. I mean, there's even a point where like she can't even pull out a chair where it doesn't bother them, which is fucking bananas. Do you know what I mean? It's the silence. And so even when she retreats into a corner of the estate, like just away somewhere, they complain about that too. Like, which one is it? Do you want me around? Do you not want me around? And then it's in that moment as she's walking around this massive place, she finds herself time slipping. And in the time slips, she meets Theo, who was an ancestor of her fiance's, and she ends up falling in love and learning a lot about herself. It is stated in the beginning that she suffers from a mental health issue. So I found myself reading this book and just wondering a lot. I don't want to say what I was wondering about, because I don't want to, I feel like this is the kind of book where you would have to make up your own mind. At the end of it, you got to make up your own mind. But the one thing I will say that I love the ending in the sense that Saoirse learned how to, this may be kind of spoilery. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But I'm just going to say it now then. Because I didn't when I did the book talk video. Again, because I didn't mean to not say that. But Saoirse chose herself in the end. In many ways. And I love that for her. Because my heart cried for her. My heart bled for her. She had been, everyone made her feel like she was a burden her whole life. And in the time slipping between the now and the past, she learned that she absolutely was not. Having a mental health issue does not make you a burden. It is just a part of who you are. And ignoring said issue, disability, whatever, however you want to call it, it's not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. And it does not make you worthy of love. Does not make you unworthy of love. Let's try that again, baby. All right? So, again, 5-star read. Yeah, that's it, 5-star read. The book that actually inspired the video was it's still in my book sleeve because I'm currently reading it. It is a reread. It is a book written in 1989. It is by Anne Rice. I am going on record to say unofficially, what I believe is her least popular book. I feel like no one's ever heard of it, and having someone tell me, "Oh my God, I've never heard of that book," just kind of confirmed that for me. I'm reading it. Look at the bookmark. Anne Rice's The Mummy or Ramses the Damned. I prefer the Ramses the Damned title. It is called The Mummy. I don't like using the Mummy title because you're automatically going to think of Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, which is a great movie. I'm not knocking it. I love that movie. That was top tier Brendan. We all love him there. And if you don't, I don't know what movie you watched, but I love that series. And yes, this was supposed to be like, that movie was based on this, but then things happened and Anne Rice was like, don't put my name on that. and so it's not called Anne Rice. Don't just call The Mummy. So, but I still prefer Ramses the Damn novel name. My favorite book of hers, my absolute favorite book of hers. And when you think of her, you initially think of like, I feel like Interview with the Damned. I was gonna say Queen of the Damned. Interview with the Vampire, Lasher, The Witching Hour. You do not think of this book. You probably don't even know this book. And while those books were good books, I'm not knocking them. I'm an Anne Rice fan. This one is top tier for me. I will forever love it. We have here Ramses the Damned, and it is based on Ramses the Great. In this book, Ramses never died. He became immortal. When he is woken up in modern times. The book is 1989, so it's set in a different time. When he wakes up in the modern times, he's already been alive 3,000 years, but he's been asleep for 1,000. So he was Ramses, became immortal. He lived for 1,000 years, found Cleopatra, fell in love with Cleopatra. She would not take the elixir. She would not. She did not want to become immortal. As we all know, Cleopatra killed herself to not be taken hostage, or maybe you don't know. That's what she did. The famous asp, that's the snake's poison that she used to kill herself because she was not going to be taken prisoner from no damn body. And that's what happened. And so that she was the love of his life, and he did not want to continue to live without her. But here's where he found his double-edged sword. He wanted to be immortal, so he's immortal. He took all of the poisons in which Cleopatra tried on her slaves to choose which one to die with. He took them all. None of them worked. He is truly immortal. So instead he had his, slaves, workers, employees, I don't know. Followers, basically entomb him away. He's not involved or anything like that. He just basically was going to go to sleep forever. And that's what happened. Fast forward another 1,000 years, they find his tomb, and he did leave a journal behind of who he was. But when they find him, they're like, "That's not Ramses. Ramses in a museum." No, he's not. Here he is, and he does come back to life. Not really anyone knows who he is when he comes back, save for a couple of people. The man who found him ends up dying, and his daughter is the one that is in charge. She's like the heiress of like the shipping company. So she's in charge of all the things. She's in charge of displaying his mummy, yada yada. But he comes back to life. So like, oopsie doodle. Now what? It is not a romance at all. I'm not gonna say at all. It's not a romance. It's not labeled as a romance, but there is romance in it. As Ramses does start a relationship off with Julie, but he cannot let go of his love for Cleopatra, who did not want to come back. She did not want to be immortal, but he loved her, and maybe he did. Maybe, something was done that shouldn't have been done, and oopsie doodle. Oopsie doodle. Fun fact about this book, it was written in 1989, and I want to say it was almost 30 years later that book 2 was written, and Anne Rice wrote it with her son Christopher. And so there's a trilogy. So there is, in 2021 and 2022, I want to say book 2 and 3 finally came out. I do have book 2. I've not read it, so this reread is going into that so that I can read the second book finally. The book is labeled as a cult horror. I'm not good with genres and subgenres, but I don't want to label it as a romance and you go in thinking that, even though there is in there, but it's not that. I find it a fast-paced, fun book. Obviously her most slept on book. Again, if you've probably seen the movie, I suggest not comparing it to the movie. There's a reason why she herself didn't want her name attached to the movie. So if you're like, if you go in thinking that, I feel like you're gonna, comparing it. You're gonna dislike one or the other, and you shouldn't. Both are great pieces of work. It's just don't compare them. Okay? All right. And that's all that I have for you today. That's it. Like, subscribe, all those things. Okay? It feels weird telling you to do that, but I feel like I should do that. But if you don't want to, it's fine too. You don't have to stick around. I'm going to hit this button now.